Welcome to the program. Dean Obeidallah is the host of the Dean Obeidallah Show, 6 to 9 p.m. on Sirius Progress 127. Columnist for CNN, contributor for The New Republic. His Substack is The Dean's Report, deanofradio.com as well, deanobeidallah.substack.com. And Dean, my apologies. I was in the middle of resetting the modem back at my home because Louise lost her internet, and I totally went off into space, and then bang, we were back on the air, and I just went into auto mode. What's the next story? I'm sorry. Hey, welcome to the program.
I'm happy to be here with you, my friends. Always.
I live longer. This is fascinating. Love the heat. Here's why moving somewhere cold may help you live longer. Everybody's moving to Florida and Texas and Southern California because, you know, hey, what? Oh, Dean Obeidallah. Oh my God. How did I? Hey, Dean. I totally got misdirected here because, Dean, welcome to the program. Dean Obeidallah is the host of the Dean Obeidallah Show, 6 to 9 p.m. on Sirius Progress 127. Columnist for CNN, contributor for The New Republic. His Substack is The Dean's Report, deanofradio.com as well, deanobeidallah.substack.com. And Dean, my apologies. I was in the middle of resetting the modem back at my home because Louise lost her internet, and I totally went off into space, and then bang, we were back on the air, and I just went into auto mode. What's the next story? I'm sorry. Hey, welcome to the program.
I'm happy to be here with you, my friends. Always great to chat.
Yeah, it's great having you with us. You've written a couple of really good columns here for your newsletter, your Substack newsletter, which I subscribe to and read, you know, whenever it arrives in my inbox here. The first is suggesting that there should be a gag order on Trump, and if he violates it, he should go to jail. Tell me about this. I mean, you're an attorney, and you know New York law as well.
Well, it came up yesterday a little bit in discussion with the judge about the judge talked about Donald Trump has made some inflammatory comments online and cautioned him not to do more. There was no express gag order. And if there's going to be a gag order for Trump or for anyone, you have to balance it. It's got to be narrowly tailored because you have a First Amendment right. And for president, even so. But I guess the judge took the first step in this process here by warning Donald Trump, no more incendiary comments, don't in any way incite violence or civil unrest. He actually used the word civil unrest. If Trump continues to attack the judge or the prosecutor to the point where there might be violence, perhaps then the judge revisits that. So look, he didn't do it yesterday, the judge. In New York, from what I heard from people who are former prosecutors here in the New York County in Manhattan, that it's not often they do that. In federal court, they use it a lot more often. I think if we're in federal court, like with Roger Stone and Paul Manafort, they use it there. They use it in many high-profile cases, Harvey Weinstein and Michael Jackson. But with this case, with Donald Trump running for office, it's a little harder. You do have to balance the First Amendment right to speech against protecting against civil unrest, or the administration of justice is really what the judge is looking to protect. So as of now, Trump's out there. But don't forget, Trump is now a man indicted on 34 counts of felonies under conditions of the court. If Trump does something outrageous, this court could haul him back in right away and say, hey, you do this again, here's the penalty.
Well, two quick points. One, you mentioned Harvey Weinstein. He was put into prison for 22 years by Alvin Bragg, if I'm remembering correctly. So, you know, Trump should be taking this seriously. But you know, Trump went back to Mar-a-Lago last night and immediately put a bullseye on the back of the judge's daughter. I mean, isn't that kind of beyond the pale? And yet there hasn't been a peep out of the court, as far as I know.
You know, there's a difference between saying the judge's daughter, which is despicable and vile, and actually instructing violence against her, or posting a picture like Trump did menacingly of holding a baseball bat next to a picture of Alvin Bragg. If you did that with a daughter, I think perhaps it would bring the judge to bring Trump back in. I think Trump partly wants to get the judge to recuse himself. I think he's taunting the judge on purpose. He views his judge as someone who hates him. That's what he said. I don't think he's going to get a more favorable judge in Manhattan County. So doesn't matter what judge he gets, he's not going to get a friend here. And he shouldn't. It's a judge. The judge should be above. Trump is trying to get Alvin Bragg to recuse himself and have another DA's office handle this, and the judge recuse himself. I hope neither do that, and that's what they're dealing with right now.
Yeah, it's an amazing state of affairs. The piece of yours that really resonated for me was the one that you sent out. Was it today or was it yesterday?
This morning.
Yeah, this morning. That's what I thought. That Trump's crimes were not victimless. This argument that's being made over on Fox so-called news and whatnot, oh, it's not really a crime, there's no victim here. You build a compelling case that we are all the victims of Trump's crime, and this crime specifically having to do with paying off Stormy Daniels. Tell us about this.
Certainly. Fox Never News, as we call it.
Yeah.
Some call it Fox Seldom News. I think it's Fox Never News.
I call it Fox so-called news.
I know, I like that. I was just listening, just playing on what you were saying. Look, the right is saying this is some kind of business crime and there's no real victim. The reality is, in the statement of facts that the Manhattan DA has released together with the indictment, which really tells you the story, the Manhattan DA makes a compelling case. Donald Trump committed these crimes, 34 felonies, to keep from the public the truth about him, about allegations he didn't like before the election. And 3 different ones. I mean, the story about a doorman who said Trump had a child illegitimately and they paid him $30,000, even though it probably wasn't a true story. Trump didn't want it out there. And Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. We didn't get to know the facts. The American people didn't get to know the facts. The reality is Trump committed crimes to cheat in the election in 2016. We are all paying that price now. And most notably, Trump got to pack the Supreme Court with 3 justices and then overturn Roe v. Wade, which we're living through right now, where women will literally die because they're forced to carry a fetus to term in Republican states where they're imposing their religion as law, like that's okay. It's not okay. Also, the Supreme Court has gutted a New York law that dealt with guns, concealed carry. But what they did is actually change the framework for other courts to strike down gun laws, and that's been happening ever since last year. Even on the EPA regulations, this Supreme Court's made it harder. This Supreme Court's ushering in the end line between church and state. Donald Trump, his crime has resulted in us, we the people, as the victim. We are the victim. And that doesn't even get into Donald Trump in office spewing hate, mainstreaming bigotry, resulting in a spike in hate crimes, and of course the January 6th attack itself and the embrace more of the GOP base of fascism. None of that happens if Donald Trump doesn't win. If Trump doesn't cheat, we can't go back in time. But you wonder, you know, Tom, an election decided by about 79,000 votes in 3 key states. Does that swing the votes enough one way or the other? The reality is we don't know because Trump cheated. He committed crimes to keep the truth from the public. So for those, I've been on our side, are like, well, it's financial crimes. No, it's we the people crimes. We are the victims of this, and people suffering across our nation, for women who've lost freedom, for kids being killed by gun violence, because this court is striking down laws, and the list goes on and on.
Lay out the timeline here, Dean. My recollection is that the Access Hollywood tape came out. A bunch of Republicans started backing away from Trump. How long after that? I mean, was the Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels stuff? Were those payments made right before the election, or was this leading up to the primary? I mean, where in time were these things happening, and how did they relate to the Access Hollywood tape?
I really encourage people to read the statement of facts. It's not legalese at all. Like, it's a really good story. In fact, in DA Bragg's statement of facts that accompanies the indictment, it actually reminds people. In early October, the Access Hollywood tape came out, and it quoted what Trump said. That's when Stormy Daniels began pressuring more.
So this was 4 weeks before the election.
Right. And Trump didn't want to pay. But that's what it says in the statement of facts. Trump didn't want to pay, but they felt more and more pressure because of the fallout from Access Hollywood. So they pay her just shortly, weeks before Election Day. If she would have come out then, after Access Hollywood, to say, I had an affair with Donald Trump just months after Melania had their first child, it would have added on top of all the negative press Trump was getting. Right. We can't tell how many votes it would have shifted, but maybe some. McDougal was months before. The interesting thing to me, Tom, is the one with the doorman was in about 2 months after Trump kicked off his campaign, was in infancy. And this guy was going to go forward and say Trump had a child out of wedlock. Now, it turns out that's unlikely to be true, but they were concerned enough to pay the guy $30,000 to shut up. Imagine we learned that Trump paid $30,000 to shut up a doorman about a story that Trump had a child out of wedlock. The media wanted to talk to the doorman. Why did he think that? Is it true? Is it not? They would have been looking for the child. The negative media coverage would have been, it may have destroyed his campaign in the infancy in August and September of 2015 before he really got going there. And Trump kept that from us as well. So this was a crime to conceal the truth from voters, and they did it. And clearly, Tom, it's a crime. Trump knew what they were doing. They paid Michael Cohen. They did a fake retainer agreement and paid Michael Cohen month after month after month. And if Trump had nothing to hide, you don't do that. You did that because you knew it was covering up the truth. You knew it was untoward. You knew it was a crime.
Right. What do you know about this story that he might have had a child out of wedlock? I mean, you know, he had an affair with Marla Maples while he was married to Ivana and knocked her up. She got pregnant, and you know, that led to his leaving Ivana and marrying Marla Maples. But you know, clearly he was playing around and he wasn't using protection.
In the statement of facts, it talks about that the National Enquirer, who David Pecker was running and paid $30,000 to the doorman, they didn't do investigations. They were just so concerned. It was so believable, the guy's story. They paid him $30,000. Then in the statement of facts of Bragg, it says they determined later it wasn't true and they were going to go get the money back, but they decided for some reason not to ask for the money back. I think if Trump had a child out of wedlock, we would probably know it by now. I don't know how much it would matter. I think we would know it, but that was out there at the time. And they kept that from us. So the public didn't get to know that.
Fascinating stuff. So had Trump not paid off McDougal, Daniels, and the doorman, he would not have become president in all probability. And had he not become president, we wouldn't have 300,000 unnecessarily dead Americans from COVID. You know, we wouldn't have a Supreme Court that has blown up Roe v. Wade. We wouldn't have, you know, I mean, just this long list of stuff. It's a compelling argument, Dean.
It's like It's a Wonderful Life in backwards. You know, like wasn't born. If he didn't win, think of all the good things would have happened to our nation. If Hillary had won, we would have controlled the Supreme Court right away. It was an open seat. It was 4-4. We can't go back in time, but Trump should pay the price now for his crimes from the past. That's how our criminal justice system works. The idea is you punish wrongdoers so others don't repeat the actual activity, the same conduct. And we need DOJ to step up. This is just it's 2 years and 3 months since January 6th. This is an embarrassment that the Department of Justice has not charged Donald Trump yet. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. Do you have a theory as to why Merrick Garland has been so reticent?
Merrick Garland did not want to charge Donald Trump. Merrick Garland was appointed, he was confirmed in March 2021. And when he appointed a special counsel in November 2022, he goes, well, I'm doing this because Trump is running. The weeks before Merrick Garland was even confirmed, there's Trump at CPAC talking about running. Merrick Garland knew he was going to run. He didn't want to get involved. He thought it was political. And he made a tragic mistake that we're paying for right now.
Yeah, amen. I think, you know, it's just he's a wimp. But the great Dean Obeidallah. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Tom. Great chatting with you.
Great talking with you.